You don't have to overthink your song ideas for hours, days, or even weeks. And I know a lot of songwriters struggle with this. I used to do too. And in this video, I want to share ways how you can identify bad ideas faster so you can move on more quickly. I want to help you figure out how you can know when a song idea of yours is quote unquote bad. I'm Marlin, I'm a singer songwriter, and I've been releasing music for 3 years now. And here's what I've learned. First off, I want to start by mentioning that writing bad songs is absolutely normal and part of the process. And if you can reframe the term bad idea for yourself and associate more positive feelings with it, it will just become so much easier to deal with them. In the very beginning of my songwriting journey, I used to avoid bad ideas to the max because I connected such unpleasant feelings with the idea of writing a bad song to the point where I feared failing. I just felt like I was a complete failure if I wrote a bad song. But if you can reframe how you look at writing bad song ideas and almost kind of invite them to be there whenever you write a bad song, just invite the idea to be here and actually make space for the idea instead of running away from it, it will make it so much easier to deal with it because it really is just a part of your process. You have to write bad songs in order for the good songs to come out. Every bad song that you write brings you closer to your next hit. It's almost a blessing. You can look at it as a blessing. You got one more bad idea out of the way, and being able to just sit in these uncomfortable feelings is a huge win because not many people can do that. And if you can just be okay with writing shitty songs, you become a superhero. Is literally your superpower. Being able to deal with the unpleasant, with things that you don't want to feel, you become unstoppable. You become unstoppable. That's why I want you to reframe the term of having a bad idea or writing a bad song and realizing it's nothing to be afraid of. Okay, so the idea for this video came from a conversation I had this week at work where one of my coworkers, who is also a musician, asked me, "How do you know when you came up with a bad idea? How do you know when you've written a bad song?" And I thought that was a really interesting question, so I sat with it for a while and I've been also thinking about it the past couple days. And it's honestly really simple, so I'm not even gonna overcomplicate it. How do I know when I've written a bad song? If the song doesn't stay stuck in my head after the session, if I don't remember the melody or the lyrics or at least something about the song, it's probably not that good of an idea. Because usually, when I've written something that I was really excited about, it sticks with me. It stays in my head, and I will want to listen to it over and over again. So if it doesn't stick, it's probably not as good. Secondly, if I revisit the demo and listen to it again after the session or maybe the next day, and it doesn't instantly trigger an emotion, an emotional reaction, it's probably not as good either. But there are also times where I will know while writing the song that this is probably not it. So if I'm in the middle of an idea and I feel that I'm not emotionally invested into this idea, I will usually stop and carry on to the next one. If it doesn't make me feel anything, how will anybody else feel anything when listening to the song? It's either that, not being emotionally invested, or not being inspired by its message. For example, if I write a song about romance or heartbreak or falling in love with somebody, let's say, and I kind of feel like, okay, this is a familiar topic. Maybe I have written about this before many times, and I feel like it's kind of becoming repetitive. I will usually stop. So, if I'm not inspired by the message I'm trying to share, by the content of the idea, I will usually carry on. So it's really that simple. It's either that it doesn't stay stuck in my head, I listen back to it and I don't feel anything, or I notice while writing that this is probably not it. It doesn't trigger anything, it doesn't make me feel anything at all. Another question that she then went on to ask me was, how do you handle it? How do you handle a situation when you know you've written something that you don't really like, something shitty, maybe? How do you navigate that situation when you maybe only had this one day to write songs and you had a studio session planned and it just absolutely didn't, like, you didn't meet your own expectations? And what I answered was that you shouldn't be having expectations in the first place, which I know can be hard. I know it can be hard, but I feel like most of the time, the expectation that we have for ourselves can set us up for failure. Because for me, it just creates a lot of pressure. But I understand that if you have planned one day a week where you're gonna write songs or go to the studio and then nothing special happens, you can be disappointed. I totally understand that. So, what I would do in those situations is just write the shitty song, just write it, because that freedom of like giving yourself the space to express yourself freely in the moment, however this looks like for you in the moment, it liberates you and it really takes the pressure off. So I have made the experience quite a couple of times that when I just allowed myself to write that bad song, the song that came after was mostly tea, was like, ooh, okay, because now the expectation is so low, everything that comes after is most likely gonna be better. And most of the time, for me, it is. And I would always remind myself, as I already said in the beginning of this video, that every bad song you write is one more bad song that is out of the way, which brings you closer to your next hit. And the more you allow yourself to just go there and embrace the ideas that are coming to you in the moment, the more free you will feel and the more you make space for the good ideas to actually come through. But this is a process and you really just need to figure out what feels best to you in your body, because your body will tell you. Listen to it so that you can move on more quickly. So, yeah, I hope these ideas were helpful to you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.